Hey everyone. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Peter. I was gonna give you a little quick intro for you to do that. What's up, Fed Nation? Rich Malachy here for Fed Chat number 6, and I have Peter Vizcon with us today. And Peter, why don't you introduce yourself to Fed Nation? Tell them who you are, what you do, where you're from, and all that good stuff. Go.
Hey Fed Nation, how you doing? I know I've met some of you down here in Miami when you're all down. Very nice to meet a lot of you folks. Great people in this industry, as we all know. That's something I love about the industry. But I work in sales for Horizon Bradco. My main focus is equipment sales for mainly the supermarket industry, sometimes wholesale bakery, food processing, things of that nature. Don't really touch food service or what have you. Right now that's being temporarily paused, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later on. But I'm doing installs right now because even though the sales effort, unfortunately, supermarkets are very busy, unfortunately, and they really don't want to be called on by salespeople. And for sure, the bakeries are not going to risk their employees to be at exposure to outside vendors at a time like this on cold calls. And I respect that, and I understand that obviously we're in some delicate times right now. But luckily, we are doing some installs still for one of our big customers that I fortunately can't mention, as I'm sure you understand, proprietary, what have you. But yeah, I mean, it's just hanging in there. As far as what I'm doing here, just going, doing what I can to stay productive on the sales front side, following up with customers, obviously doing installs, doing some home teaching, if you will, with the kids. I know a lot of you are going through that and how interesting that could be with the virtual learning. But yeah, as far as Miami, Florida, luckily I don't think it's too bad down here. I know that in Florida we are one of the biggest metros. Pretty much Jacksonville, Fort Myers, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. But it's not too bad. I am seeing a lot of positive things that is reassuring for sure. One of the things I love, honestly, is the support for small businesses that I've seen. Even though I'm not going to lie and say restaurants have been killing it down here, they have been doing what they can to stay afloat. It's been great to see how they've adapted to these times, which very unprecedented, obviously. I mean, they went from, okay, you can serve to a certain amount of people, no more than 50 in the restaurant, no more than 20 in the restaurant, to no sit-ins at all. And they just had to adapt time over time. And you have luxury restaurants making sandwiches, doing what they can to get on platforms like the third-party delivery companies and doing their own deliveries and really doing what they can to not only stay afloat, but to keep their employees, more or less making something. So, and the people, the community have supported them. So it's very nice to see. I know you're in a different area because you're in northern New Jersey, I believe. So, yeah, northern New Jersey, New York City. I know that's different. I'm pretty sure that people probably don't even want to risk deliveries. I mean, it's pretty intense out there, I imagine.
There's some places that have closed down completely and just doing GoFundMe pages for their employees. So what I want to talk about with you was your position at Horizon Bradco pre-COVID-19. What did that look like? Because I know things are different. And Peter, if I could trouble you for the background noise, it's really bad.
The background noise? Okay, let me see what I can do about that. You know what it could be is that my mic
like
was a little better. Is it better now?
Let's try it. Yeah, it just sounded like a TV or something. Sorry about that. So
no, sure. I mean, I am using internet audio. Is it better to use the phone audio in your experience, or?
I'm not sure. Let's try it. Right now it sounds like it's quiet down, but so looking at what you did, I know your roles kind of changed and shifted with that. But what was it looking like pre-COVID and now post-COVID?
Well, pre-COVID, I started with Horizon Bradco maybe 4 months ago. So what they did, which is smart, of course, and for both parties. And Horizon Bradco is very good about doing things that are beneficial for the employee, the company, and the customer. That's a big saying that we say in our company, and it's true. So I'm starting off with a lot of independent and smaller regional players in the supermarket industry. So basically, I'm focusing on business development. So I'm not handling like the big players, if you will, not yet, until I get more experience. And from just walking coolers to all the hot side bakery and all that, it's a huge learning curve for sure. Even like dishwashing and utensil washing and all that. So I've learned a lot for sure. And in the meantime, I've also been just getting to build relationships because we don't have a extremely strong presence for equipment sales down here, even though we have been doing service for quite some time. Yeah. So a lot of it is just, pretty much raw growth, that it's just going out there, making calls, meeting people, making cold calls, I've had very few vendors give me leads, and I've tried to capitalize on that the best I can. And, you know, just when things are starting to move, of course, and all that, this happens. The sales cycle in this industry, as you may know, if you don't have that customer base, can take a long time. But luckily, we're moving pretty quickly. And even, you know, being Hispanic helps. I hate saying that, but a lot of people, you know, like to deal within their culture. It's just a nature of the beast. And it's many cultures that do that. And obviously, speaking Spanish helps and all that. So there's a lot of big players down here that are independent and regional, but they have 20, 30 something stores, if you will, and they're mostly Hispanic oriented, or if you have you, because that's just the nature of the beast down here. It's our demographic.
Exactly.
No, and there's a lot of food processing. There's a lot of bakery, sausage manufacturers, and all that. So I'm getting to know a lot of people for sure. There's some pretty heavy duty processing equipment out there that we have available for our customers. And one of the things, just like you, is that not only do we sell it, but we have the ability to service it.
Yeah.
Which definitely helps the idea of, oh, these people are just going to sell it. And just my nature. I mean, I think that people, I'm not going to say I'm this, you know, ad agency guy that goes in there and can sell anything. But I think one thing I do very well is establish a relationship and a trust with a person. You know, very frequently, maybe not now, but you know, customers all the time, you know, hugs and you know, real bro bonding, if you will. And you know, I'm good at building relationships, but see how that changes. I'm gonna maybe miss that in the beginning because, like I said, I'm a big handshaker for sure. You know, that may change for a few months, maybe a few years, who knows. You know, like looking someone in the eye, which that won't change obviously, but just have a conversation like we're having now, just genuine flow.
Yeah.
No need to pitch anything right away. Really care about what their needs are.
Yeah.
Because there's so much opportunity right there, right now, for people that are doing things the old-fashioned way that they've been doing it forever.
Yeah,
and this piece of machinery will save them so much money, not just on human resources or what have you, but just on efficiency, how much more capacity they can do. And it's not about any machine replacing a job, but now with the capacity you have, you're able to service more people. That person can be focused on something else. So that's really.
And let me ask you this: I read that you want to know if anyone ever dropped a convection oven door on their foot, or what was it?
Oh yeah. There's so what I'm doing now is taking down, demolishing, if you will, a lot of proofers and rack ovens in a lot of supermarkets. So those, whether it's Baxter or Baker's Aid or what have you, those doors are heavy, especially in the rack oven. This is a double, you know, rack oven, and this door was pretty heavy duty. And I'm new to this, obviously, so I don't have nice steel toes or anything like that. So I'm going in there with like some Chuck Taylor style Converse, style shoes, and this thing just lands on my big toe. And I ignored it because I don't want to be in front of that guy. It's like, oh, look at this rookie who's, an office guy or what have you. So I'm there, I'm taking the pain and like, oh, okay, everything all right? And like, yeah, good. And I'm trying my best not to walk with a limp, but I was hurting. I was walking all over the supermarket just hurting for sure. And I mean, I have so much respect for the people out there on the field. I really do. I've always been in the office. I've never been out in the field. But not just the physical labor aspect of it, because I try to stay busy. I do my own yard work. I'm not a big fan of paying anyone to do my stuff or anything like that. So I can work with my hands, but it's just, doing it under those conditions. I mean, those ovens, I don't know if you've had the pleasure of taking them down yourself, but there's some nasty stuff that accumulates in the bottom of those proofers and ovens. Many moons ago. And it's all just accumulated, just oil and all that, and it's pretty nasty stuff. And they do it, and whenever the customer asks them questions, they're always very serviceable. They're not grouchy, which I think makes my job easier for sure, because I can tell you right now, I can provide you the best service in the world and just fluff everything. And then one of my service techs comes out there, has an attitude, oh, don't bother me, I'm working on this unit, or anything like that. That behavior, it just makes me look horrible, honestly, and it makes the company look horrible. So I'm very happy of our guys on the field. They do it. I'm not gonna say you do it with a smile because they're working their butts off, but they definitely do it with a good, positive attitude. They're happy to be working, and they're taking safety very seriously. I mean, it's amazing how times have changed in the sense of just basic things, right?
That fast.
And the CEO of Horizon Brightco, Mike Jewett, who I consider a tremendous leader, has always been very good on safety, right? He's always talking about, I've been dinged up for speeding a few times, all honesty. I'm in Florida, the roads are open, it's a long drive, and, we get tracked, just like I'm sure you guys get tracked and all that, because it helps the insurance and all that, and I get it. And, we're very big on safety, and I've had the CEO call me and all that, and, it's more about keeping us safe. And right now, we have an effort company-wide of distribution and logistics for hand sanitizer, Sandy spray and masks, and it's things that you would never even consider.
So let me stop you there. So obviously in this post-coronavirus, post-COVID-19 world that we're going to all be living in, I think we're all going to be, and I've talked about this subject with other guys here on these Fed chats, but looking at the way we now work with customers and the way we deal with customers and the way we interact with customers and possibly newly added services with all the sanitization and everything. Is there any talk about you guys maybe evolving now and diversifying into some stuff you might never have done as far as sanitization goes, and also new protocols for technicians going into assets?
Well, definitely, before this all started, I was already starting to make some leeway with some of the other, some smaller QSRs and some franchisees of, certain big companies, but they're a multi-unit operator, if you will. And I've always and obviously now those particular, QSRs and all that, they're not doing as well as supermarkets. But, so I was trying to diversify before. Now there is, I think, there's going to be a huge need for, and there's still a lot of people, especially in the wholesale bakery and even some supermarkets, that are washing a lot of pans by hand, a lot of utensils by hand. And, sanitation, I think going forward is going to be huge. And there's a lot of machines out there that do a great job of sanitization, if you will, and bringing that water temperature to where it needs to be to really kill off bacteria. And it's going to be a big topic right now, for sure, I feel. And aside from the fact that it does provide huge ROI, comparing a unit that pretty much you just dump stuff in there, take it out, and then have someone hand washing it. People that are still hand washing amaze me, honestly, sometimes, especially when talking about wholesale bakeries, cleaning all those pans by hand, all those, utensils by hand. But now with sanitization being more and more of a factor, I think people are going to start to get away from that theory of, all I need is a 3-compartment sink.
Yeah, we're going to those high temperature, heavy duty kind of detergents and sanitizers that are really going to play a big role in, nobody's hand. I don't know about the hand wash. I think you're right. Yeah.
No, yeah, and because here's the thing. Food is always a delicate topic, especially with foodborne illnesses and all that. Yes. But now we're not even talking about just foodborne illnesses, because this stuff. The COVID-19, people are saying that it stays on stainless steel for, I think, 9 hours, I read. And everyone says different things. Right. I get that. No, I'm to the point where I feel like no one knows really anything for sure. But the point is, it stays on surfaces for a very long time. And it's not necessarily a foodborne illness, if you will, but this stuff can, get on the forks and the knives. And, I've always been the type of person at a restaurant, I never use a straw. I've always been, they offer it and all that, but I drink straight from the glass. Now, and I know a lot of people do that. So now,
oh, there you
hey, Rick, sorry about that. I got a call that came in. But now with, with everything that's happened, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want either plastic cups or a straw. And when you think about it, not even the straw, because it's still going to touch the glass. So, and I understand that for the first few months, there may be a sense of paranoia for sure once we do get back.
I don't think we're going to be walking out into the world when lifted. It's like, hey, let's hugging each other and
kumbaya, everyone's holding hands.
Stay 6 feet from me while we talk to each other.
Yeah, no drum circles for me, or anything like that. But and I get that, and I think it will be in phases for sure. As far as when we get out. But I think sanitation is going to be big. I think diversification is going to be big for a lot of people that focus on restaurants. And I hate saying that because I'm in the supermarket industry. But hey, listen, I'm a big fan of the notion of there's enough work for anyone, honestly, in this industry. And these are such unprecedented times that this is temporary, and how often is it going to happen? Even like the other day, you had a podcast with Taz, I believe. They go, what if it's 10 years down the line and it happens again, right? We have to be more prepared for it.
Yes.
And what if it happens, what if something happens to disrupt the supermarket industry, right? Then we'll have literally nothing over at Horizon Braco. So I think now would be a great time to really think about not only how good you're going to take care of your customers, focus on sanitization. Some of the things are going to be fresh on people's minds, but truly diversify your business and not stick to one core. And I'm not talking on the service side. I'm talking on the service side, the dealer side, the manufacturer side. What industries can you cater to? That if and it's the same with your personal investments, right? You don't want to invest all your money, let's say, on Apple or what have you. And I'm not a financial expert, but I do know that diversification is to prevent risk, because you rather have let's say a 4, 5, 6% return than a 12% return, and then all of a sudden something crashes, right? So I think a lot of companies are going to be wise about diversification, having maybe either some funds or a line of credit available open at all times so that they can pull from if needed to and all that. So like I said, I think a lot of people are going to learn from this. And you know what? We talk about our industry, but believe it or not, we're not the hardest in industry. The beauty industry, like nail salons and barbers, they don't have an Uber Eats. They don't have any of that.
My girlfriend is a makeup artist, and she relies solely on events because she is her business.
Right.
Phenomenal what she does, but all these holidays that are coming and going, and wedding season is here. Everything's been canceled. She has not all stopped.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean that's
photographers.
Super hard.
I mean, yeah. Hey, listen, and event, anything that's dealing with events, like you said, that's another thing we have in common. My wife loves makeup. She's been a makeup artist. She's worked for a salon right now. She's taking the year off or what have you. But, so luckily we were not in a position where we're depending on that anyway. But, yeah, I mean, the salon she used to work for is closed down. And a lot of these places, they're 1099 employees. So I don't even know if the personal, the payroll protection or what have you. I don't know if that applies to them. I don't know the legalities of it.
Yeah,
I'm not a lawyer. But, what are they going to do? How are they, it's pretty, and I hate to talk about it so much, but I just want to let people know in our industry, we're getting beat down, and I get that, but it's not the worst case for us. Honestly, it isn't. And even countrywide, America's going through it. And I know everyone says, we have the most cases and listen, we're a population of 320 million people. We're a population where people are, being together is just a societal thing for us. We associate, we socialize. It's part of our culture. We're not so secluded from one another. So yes, we will get affected more sometimes, especially when you see the numbers and they're scary and all that. But the resiliency of our people in this country has always been impressive to me, honestly.
I was talking with Taz about this too. Tragedy brings us together more than anything. And this is a great time for me to bring this up, because this is something that me and him talked about that I think is important to look back and remember. So we all remember, me and Taz talked about this too, where we were on 9/11.
Yeah, I remember.
Where were you and what were you doing on 9/11?
Well, just like you, actually, I was actually also in history class during 9/11. The only difference is I was in 8th grade at the time, 2001, yeah. And, I was going through other stuff in my life, too, because I just moved, and it was a new school, and I went from private school to public school. And as a kid, you think, like, all these things are, like, the world's biggest problems, right? And they're really not. Looking back at it now, I wish I had, obviously, the problems I had when I was 14, 13 to now. But then I remember that, and it's just almost like if none of that mattered, really. I was just in the classroom, and my history teacher was a big military guy. He was crying, and this guy was tough, man. This guy was, a BA, and to see that man cry was like, wow, this is really happening in our country right now. And I mean, I don't remember what I was wearing, but I remember I was history class, and it was just unbelievable. And one thing I do, and I'll never forget, is maybe the day after or a few days later, I saw how they do like the political cartoons. Mm-hmm. I saw one that it was, it was people, different people from different cultures and all that. Oh, I'm Asian American, I'm African American, I'm Hispanic American, and then post 9/11, I'm American. Everyone across the board.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of everyone being proud of where they come from and celebrating our differences. And I get all that.
Yeah.
But I think right now is the perfect time to just be thankful that we're in a nation that, even though there's some division, I get that. During times of crisis, there's nothing more wonderful than seeing people come together. And you will see people just still continuing to be negative. And listen, I don't like, politics at all. I think it's a big divider. I know you don't as well. I do have my beliefs and I do vote and all that, but I think the division is not worth it right now. I think right now what we need to focus on for sure is just being positive and, staying and keeping in touch. I mean, whenever I see something that looks a little like, oh man, it looks like they're going through something, I'll reach out and message, hey, just want to check in. How's everything? Because it's scary.
Yeah, and that's that's the other thing too. I saw you were talking about altruism and helping your community and helping people over in the ER at was it Kendall Baptist?
Yeah, Kendall Baptist, so one of the biggest hospitals.
I'd love for you to kind of tell the story. First of all, for some people that want to help, they might say to themselves, "Oh, I don't know how to help. How am I supposed to help?" So how did you go about reaching out to them and helping them? Who'd you talk to? How'd you make this happen? And tell a little bit about that story.
Well, I mean, I follow a lot of, restaurant pages on my Instagram, and I don't have a huge following, but I'm starting to build that little by little. I kind of been late in the game, if you will. But so I follow especially local regional businesses here. And like I said, we don't do a lot with that industry, but I do like to stay in the know, and people know people, right? I mean, I was with the owner of one bakery that owns 5 bakeries, and the other day he's like, oh, I'll introduce you to somebody that owns 20 bakeries. I'm like, oh, you'll do that for me? Oh, yeah, of course. So I definitely try to keep those line of communications open. So Pincho Factory, who I'm a big fan of, they have a few stores down here. They pretty much promoted that they're giving away 50% off to first responders and all that. And I just reached out to them, and like I said, I got a cut, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not, making a killing, but I could do something that I feel will promote goodwill, right? And I told them, oh, hey, I'll send you this amount of money, and you either you put it on a gift card, or I don't know how you want to do it, but I just, I love what you guys are doing. I know you're not making killer margins on that. 50% is a big deal. Food is probably more expensive now with the deliveries and the scarcity. So I told them, go ahead and put on a gift card, and however you feel is more logistically feasible for you. And then they told me, oh, well, that's a little complicated. Do you just want to sponsor like an order for an ER? And I go, yeah, sure. Whatever it is, go ahead and tell me. And they go, oh, do you want to deliver us, help deliver with us? And I told them, yeah, sure. Why not? And at first I was just gonna, like I said, I was just gonna do it. And because I know how people are sometimes. And I did, by the way, get some negative messages in terms of me being inside. And I'll get to that in a bit. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I went to the ER, I met up with them, and they're very grateful. Met with the Pincho Factory. We spoke a little bit about business and how they're adapting. And luckily, Pincho had a pretty good platform to begin with for pickup and delivery. So they didn't have to adapt too much. But they're worried, for sure. They mentioned, and listen, no one is killing it right now.
No.
Other than supermarkets. If you're out there saying that you're killing it, more power to you.
Yeah.
Like you said the other day, right? More power to you, but
this is
no one is killing it.
No one's in killing it, crushing it mode. We're just in survival mode.
Right, exactly. As is everyone. And even supermarkets, listen, they have logistical challenges of their own with supply chain. And they're getting, I had one supermarket chain here that they got accused of gouging, and it was that they had to change suppliers because they ran out of eggs. And their supplier, they don't buy from them, so they don't have the deal, so they had to increase the price, and they got accused of gouging. So, and that's the type of negativity I try to stay away from. So, but getting back to that, I did that, and I posted it, obviously, and I was saying, you don't need to spend money. You don't need to, but, do something positive, whether it's just checking in on people, sending letters to the local ER. Listen, there are a bunch of people that are, sending postcards and stuff to the ER, and the ERs are posting on the wall. I've seen many videos, and I'm sure you have, of like nurses clapping on a patient as they've recovered, firefighters and police officers getting together to, salute our healthcare workers. So I see a lot of good out there. And with that, I guess maybe it's because I've never been outspoken or I don't put out content. I did get like some message like, hey, that's a little insensitive, people are losing their jobs and you're saying that, to go out and spend money. And that's not what I said. I said just whatever you can do to spread altruism, to be positive. Let's do it. I didn't do it for clout. I didn't do it for anything. I mean, listen, my following is not impressive by any means.
Right.
But I guess, it's one of those things where I feel you're never going to make everyone happy. There's always going to be the naysayers. That's fine. Listen, and I'm sure you probably experienced that times 10. I mean, because you're definitely out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great thing to bring up too. Just, we like we're focusing on the positive. We're focusing on the things that are good that are happening. There's always going to be people, whether you call them haters or people that are focused on the pessimists, or people that are there's just people out there that just want to mess up your day. I mean,
yeah.
They just want to come into your inbox and say, hey, or leave a nasty comment. And just for me, just have empathy for those people. That they took time out of their day to
right
come to you and give you their spiel on negativity or whatever it is that they believe they think who you are. Nobody knows who you really are. You're doing this from your heart. I've met you enough times to know that you're doing things from your heart and you're talking from your heart. And forget about those people. Keep moving, keep posting. But it's important to be able to tell that to the Fed Nation and tell it to you, so because we can get into our heads and say, you know what, they said this to me, I'm not posting anymore. I'm done.
Right.
Don't be done. Keep going in spite of them. So
no, definitely. And listen, and thankfully things are getting a little busier for me now, sort of closing some deals and all that. But I plan on writing articles and all that, and thinking of content and positive videos and things like that. And if people don't like it, they can always mute me. I tell them all the time, you can mute me, you can unfollow me. I really don't care. My message is not for the masses. If I can get, like I told you the other day on Facebook, if I can get to one person, my job is done. I'm a big, believer in spreading positive, paying it forward, and just changing at least one person's life. And so they can change other people's lives. And listen, I'm sure there are ideas that you've come up with, that I've come up, that people have come up with, that they don't have the biggest following, but somebody that does have a great following sees it, does something about it, and then all of a sudden it starts becoming more and more viral. And I'm not about the credit, but the thing is, let's create positivity. And the more positive the world will be, you hear a lot of time, and it sounds like, I like to call myself a cornball sometimes, but it's true. Kindness is free, and it spreads, just like negativity could spread. And I used to work in an office. I've been in a toxic environment and all that. And the same way toxicity spreads, positivity can spread too. So I'd rather be on the cornball side, let people make fun, what have you, and make something a positive change, than to focus and just living that life. Like you said, I have like empathy for people that are just negative, and I wish I could do something to change that, but sometimes it just feels like you can't, because that's what they devour themselves in, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. But that's why I love following you. Evan's done a great job. Evan's been very positive.
Yeah.
Josh Zolan, I'm a big fan of him. He's more of a stoic for sure. He's just very, let's not overreact on either side. Let's just go with the flow, do what we can, and focus on what we could control. So, there's a lot of good stuff I'm seeing from a lot of people. So, I'm pretty happy about that. And like you said, ignore the negativity. Ignore all that naysayer stuff.
You have to ignore it. And, with social media and everything that we have today, this is such a gift, honestly, because you go back 10, 15 years. If this was happening 10, 15 years ago, we wouldn't have this. We wouldn't, I talk about a lot of the other Fed chats. We're talking about physical distancing, not social distancing. So we could stay social. And not to be an opportunist, I don't want that to get, twisted, but the opportunity in very vocal right now. And, we talk about, I don't have time to build my brand. I'm seeing you put a lot more videos out. I'm seeing you put a lot more content out, and obviously time is our friend right now because we have so much of it. But, continuing far after COVID-19 pandemic is over, I would love to continue to see you building that out, and putting out the optimism, putting out the positivity. Because like you said, it's cancerous. That negativity is cancerous. And I don't care who it's coming from. If they're on your team and they're in your ear, it affects you. And then it affects the next person. And it affects the next person. So Fed Nation is about, community over competition. It's about people helping people. And that's one of the big reasons, I started this. And getting the message out on these Fed chats. But another thing I wanted to talk with you about is the shows that we're missing out on, the things that are being canceled. NRA is canceled.
Yeah, that was a big one for sure,
I was
especially on a non-NAFM year, right?
Yeah, well, thankfully, I think that's what I want to talk about. NAFM. Are you going to be at NAFM?
You know what? I don't know if I'm going to be at NAFM. I know of a lot of our vendors are. I'm pretty sure, but it's not something I want to say I'm going to be at NAFM and all that, because I really don't know, right?
Yeah.
But I imagine I am, that's always been a great show for sure.
It's the biggest.
Every show is a great show, honestly, that I've been to, that I've had the privilege of attending, whether it's a show, whether it's a conference. I mean, but not only is the content great, let me tell you something. It's not just about meeting people. There's some great educational stuff that goes on in these conferences and in these the shows. There are sessions, there are Q&A sessions. Some of the most valuable stuff I've taken out of was of FEDD, the can't think of it right now for some reason, but the FEDD dealership, Food Equipment Dealers of America, I think, or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And they had table discussions, right? And John from Colorado from Cepesa was there.
Yeah, John.
He had great conversation. Yeah. Hey, Schwinn's a great guy. And that's another thing I love about this industry, right? Peter Vizcon, no one knows me, right? John Schwinn, everyone knows him. This gentleman talked to me for like 30 minutes, and it was just a natural conversation.
Yeah.
Where can you get that? Where can you get the vice president or the president of a huge organization like that to talk to somebody that relatively no one knows, right? So, I love this industry.
It happens right here.
Yeah, it's the best. And we spoke about, and the topic was like warranties and the discrepancies between dealers and manufacturers and service companies and end users and what's expected and what's reality. And those conversations like that, and they talked about it can't die there, right? It needs to continue. We need to continue to consolidate what the popular opinion should be. And during the Fed chat, you mentioned vocabulary, right? Everyone has a different term for different things. And those conversations need to keep going. They need to be more defined and all that. And I get it, but there's a lot, we're missing out on all of that right now. And it's not just connections, it's also education. And it's that kind of stinks, because it is, like I said, in a hefty quarter of the year. FEDD is around this time. NRA is around this time. RIFMA, I believe, had a less of attendance than it normally would.
I was
right?
There.
Yeah. You unfortunately had to cancel the women's Fed empowerment.
Yeah,
but,
which we will get back to, and also just to make a mention too, NAFM, I'm planning on putting some kind of event down in New Orleans in February.
So you know what? I've never been, and if any other reason, why not? Right? Combine business with something I heard so many great things about.
In town, man. I was there.
Oh yeah? Oh no, for sure. And like I said, in this industry, when I went to NRA last year, it was amazing how when we walked around, I saw so many people from the industry just out and about, and I went out by myself, right? And I just met people all over the place that were from the NRA show.
Yeah.
Like I said, this industry has a great way of putting people together. Lifetime connections, really. Like I said, huge companies, huge, high-level names, and they'll talk to you like, obviously you're in a different position than I am. You're pretty well known by now, but it just it gives right, and you have to build that up, right? Because there was a time where no one knew Rich.
Many years in the making. Many.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the nice thing about this industry, is that you never know who you're talking to, and then when you find out, you're like, oh wow. And it does give you a feeling of, I have something to say, right? I have something that that's important, that I can relate to someone else, that other people can relate with. So once you get out there, I worked internally for a long time, but once you get out there, you really start to realize how big and how small this industry can be. And it's a beautiful thing for sure. And I miss the shows, man. Hopefully, I don't know, we can't rush too soon, but hopefully by February, it should be back on track.
I have no doubt we'll be back. And as we wind down the Fed chat, let's talk a little bit about you're working from home and you got family. So let's talk a little bit about your beautiful family you got down there. I know you mentioned your kids. They really don't, they're having a good time, right? Because their dad's home. And so what's going on in the household?
Oh man, the household, for sure, the baby is awesome. Like I said, she doesn't know what's going on. She's always been a very happy, smiley baby. And one thing I love, even though I miss working, don't get me wrong, but I love seeing the growth, right? You know, one thing is seeing it every now and then, but when you see it day after day, oh, she started doing this now. Oh, and I'm a little hurt that her first words weren't Papa. They're actually Tata, which is a Hispanic way of saying sister. So the sister won that one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But just seeing the growth and how strong she sits upright and all those things. And those are things that I saw a lot of my first daughter, but I didn't see it as much as now. So when I see it now, man, it's like, wow, like it's a blessing in disguise in a way. And this is awesome for me right now. And the other one's 9. So obviously that's a bit different. You know, she's going through the virtual school, like I said, that could be tougher. And kids, when you can't go to the park. And even though I know a lot of kids are on their devices, or, you know, we don't play video games in this house too much. And I was one of those traditional people that, you know, took them to the park and all that and did fun stuff. So now everything's closed. It's like, what do we do? You know, and I'll take her a walk around the neighborhood. She'll be on her scooter, things like that. But it's like, we really missed out on that, right? You know, and the kids of her generation missed out on it. I mean, we go to the park sometimes, and it's empty, Rich. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully maybe that changes. We'll see. Maybe not. I don't know. But, you know, I'm sure, you know, there's that old school meme, right? This is how we used to tell when people were home. There's like a bunch of bikes outside. You know, that's how I used to tell all my buddies where they were, right? I'm sure that you did the same thing. So that one's been tough for sure. The virtual learning, like I said, it causes its pains, but you know, we've had probably more family dinners probably than we've ever had, more family lunches, eating as a family, which I'm not gonna lie and say I've done it all the time. I wish I could do it more often, but I am sometimes on the road till like 8 p.m. You know, I work in Florida and I cover the state, so if I'm in Jacksonville, I don't stay overnight. I love coming home the same night. I don't want to stay overnight as little as I possibly can, right? Yeah. So I drive and I get here at 10 sometimes. So, but now it's like we've eaten so much together as a family. And here's the thing. I have to say I'm very happy and blessed for my wife because I'm not easy. And I know that I'm very positive and loving, and I do consider myself selfless, but I'm a jokester big time. I like to prank and play around, and sometimes she'll be taking a shower. I'll get cold water and, you know, douse on her. And she's like the opposite. She's a yin to my yang, right? So there's like a limit where I know where I get to that limit. But she's been a trooper, you know, with the whole thing. She's been pranking back and all that. So, you know, she, like I said, she's been pretty good. And I do. She tells me where the limit is. I never know, but she tells me for sure. And then I was like, oh, hold up. And then I'll be extra, you know, nice and all that. But and it's hard because she does like to go out and all that stuff. And listen, I'm not too worried about the people that were homebodies and all that. There's a lot of people, and I mentioned this in one of my videos that I put out, is that they've made going out their identity. You know, socialites, people like whatever you want to call it, right? And that's been stripped away from them, right? And those are the people that I really like to reach out to. The people that I saw were very active before I always go out because, you know, you never know. And she, like I said, we don't go out all the time. We have kids, but luckily my parents, you know, sometimes can take care of her every other weekend or what have you. But she loves going out and she loves dancing and all that. Me, I like to stay home and watch, you know, stand-up comedy, right? Yeah. But so she's been deprived of that, if you will. So that's kind of tough. And I think it's, and I know that people like to say, oh, you know, these people were asked to go to war and these people were, you know, and I get that. But listen, it's all about relativity also. You know, the people that went to war in the 40s, you know, the world was at war. It was more expected, more or less. They just went through a Great Depression, you know, and I get that that's something that is the ultimate sacrifice. Yeah. But, you know, people, we've had it so good, honestly, and I don't want us to use the word spoiled, but we've had it very good. And from that to come down to this, it's like, it is a big culture shock and it is a big change. And rather than, you know, and rather than insulting people, I think we need to just try to be empathetic, like you said, and just try to understand you never know what anyone is going through, right? And I always try to put that in my head. Never make anyone seem like, oh, why are you so, you know, which is hard for me because I'm a jokester, but why are you so sensitive, or why are you so, because you don't know what that person's going through. You don't know what news they've just received. So, you know, even though the memes are funny, maybe not the best taste right now, is my opinion. Yeah. You know, I get it, but like I said, it's just one of those things that, you know, we're all adapting, for sure. All of us. No one could have seen this coming. Going
Yes.
to the supermarket is like, you know, the other day, and I know that some people are gonna comment and say, "Oh, why'd you go see your brother? Or why'd you?" But I went to my brother's house because we are a very close knit family, and it was under 10 or whatever, and you know, we followed the guidelines. But I went to my brother's house, and he said, "Oh, I ran out of propane. I went to go propane." I've
Mhm.
never seen for propane, like I had to make a line and all this stuff, and it's like, what times are we living in right now? That's something that I used to take for granted. I used to go to a gas station, change it out, boom, be on your way, right? And it's like, wow,
Yep. Yeah, but
everything is
yeah, I mean,
changing.
we are all adapting, and I will tell you, as we come to the close on this one, um, and I appreciate you being here. As we come to the close, you know, if anyone thinks for 1 second that I'm not throwing off my game too, let me tell you something. I am thrown off my game big time. My sleep schedule is upside down.
I've seen that.
Yeah, I'm up. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what time it is. Yeah, I don't know what day it is. I don't know what time it is. Like we joke about that. I really have no idea what the hell is going on in my life right now. But I'm okay with that because that's just the situation that it's in. And you know, every day it's kind of the same, but it's a little different at the same time. If that makes sense. And I'm trying to just stay as busy as I can because we are closed down pretty much completely, aside from true emergency service stuff. And you know, for the world and for Fed Nation, you know, be prepared for the comeback of the century for
Yeah.
America, for the nation, hopefully for the globe. And you know, Peter, for just a last, I like to have her give you the last encouraging words to Fed Nation as we go off about the rest of our week. Give them something to hold on to. What do you got?
Well, I definitely want to say that definitely the good times, the better times will come. To everyone out there, you know, don't be embarrassed. Don't be, you know, if anyone's going through something, whether I mean I don't know a lot of you, but if anyone is going through something, my door is always open, and don't hesitate to reach out. You know, because this is temporary, but there are certain things that can happen to us that we do to ourselves that are forever. So, you know, and not to be too gloomy, but my main thing is just reach out. You know, we're all going through some tough times right now, some more than others, but never keep that to yourself or feel that you need to be embarrassed. Listen, Rich, I'm sure your door's always open. For sure, my door's always open for anyone that wants it. You know, just, you know, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, it doesn't matter. Uh, I don't need to sell anything right now. I just want people to be okay and make it through this because there's going to be a lot of time and a lot of opportunity. You know, and I hate using bad language, but we are going to kick ass when
We
this is
are going
all
to.
over. 100%, we are going to get through this way better on the other side. But right now, if you feel anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to anybody, whether it's Rich, myself, or anyone, because we're here for you. And we have the time. And I'm looking for something to do that's positive. So please don't hesitate to reach out for sure.
I love that, Peter. Thanks, man. So we'll take down Fed Chat number 6, Fed Nation.
Thank
I
you, Rich.
appreciate you watching. You know, we'll definitely continue to do this. Stay tuned. We have a couple more Fed Chat scheduled for this week. If you want to be on the next one, let me know. We'll get on a Zoom and we will talk about all things going on in the world right now. And listen, stay well, stay safe, and I will see you on the next one.